Hello and welcome to Return to Eberron, Cult of the Godseed. I am here with my friends and we are playing D&D. And we are in on a ship called Hyacinth's Bouquet, and we are headed towards Stormreach, the main sort of capital city in Zendrick. And I'm going to get everyone to introduce themselves. So, this will go Lana, Don, Felice, and then Bastian. They'll introduce what their characters look like, what they're thinking about, and then Lana has volunteered to, or Mary has volunteered to give us a bit of a recap on what happened last time. So go ahead, guys.
Alrighty, I am playing Lana, a human rogue. She's petite, blonde hair, and she's dressed kind of acrobatish, but for adventuring, obviously. And yeah, right now the current thing on her mind is how the stars really don't connect the dot very well.
Very good. Don.
I, Gordon Treeman, a proud half-orc of the Shadow Marshes and a master of the Druidic arts, am here to advise and guide the younglings on their journey to the southern continent and to protect nature while I'm at it.
Excellent.
I'm Chris Johnson, and I'm playing Felice Kofi Jones, a young student of archaeology. She is a small, petite young woman with kind of spiky dark hair, and yeah, she's out to find information for her thesis.
Heyo, this is Bone. I'm playing Bastion. He is a clockwork warforged cleric of the Tempest. He is a war veteran who is seeking to redeem himself for past crimes that he believes he committed in another life.
Excellent. Alright, over to Mary as she gives us a little bit of a recap as to what happened last time.
Yes, last time we were still in this treasure islandish kind of cave in which everyone except for Lana were all, yes, let's go do it. We've been on a boat forever. So yeah, we were there. We just kind of discovered this stage that apparently when you're standing on the stage and someone's not on the stage and kind of watching you, they see something that you don't see. And then you can do this kind of like hat dance of figure out where the item is if you want to keep it. And yeah, a lot of interesting magic. But eventually, everyone continued onward to find the real treasure, not just the chump treasure. Although the first chump treasure we thought was the real treasure because mounds of gold and whatnot. Lana wondered if there might have been a dragon involved, but no, it's just a golem. I believe a type of golem, a coin golem, I think. Anyways, we defeated easy peasy-ish. And of course, couldn't possibly be the challenge because, well, we survived. So further on we went and we found this other creature that Lana has no idea what it was, but it had tentacles and she got wrapped up by one of them, but she survived fairly well compared to her fellow comrades, and they found even more loot. And so they went back to the boat and kind of divvied it up.
Absolutely.
And now they're onward.
Yes, and the crew have been overjoyed, really, at how much stuff you've brought back. You know, they're just like awash with that. And yeah, we continue to sail on, and we really don't have any other issues on our trip as we're heading towards Stormreach. And in fact, after about another 5 days of travel, you hear the call of land ahoy coming from the top of the sail, from the crow's nest. And
That's Lana.
Yep. And we begin to approach the city of Stormreach. And this is what Stormreach looks like. It's a ruin. This is your first thought as Stormreach comes into view. The city has been destroyed by some terrible disaster. You see crumbling walls and squat shattered towers. Then a moment later, you realize how far you are still from the city, and you notice the smaller structures clustered around these broken foundations. These ruins must be the work of the giants, buildings that fell long before humans came to this land. It might not be a ruin, but Stormreach is a ramshackle city. As you draw closer, you see that the buildings are an astonishing assortment of architectural styles and materials. Some of the inhabitants have constructed their homes using stone quarried from the ruins themselves. Others are partially built from driftwood or the hulls of broken ships. The flamic architecture of Thrain stands next to a thatched hut that would seem more at home in the Shadow Marches. The city is a tapestry, hinting at the diverse range of people that have settled here. From what you can see, Stormreach is spread over a wide area, flowing down along a river valley. Barges and passenger skiffs drift between the harbour and the depths of the city. Vegetation-covered cliffs surround the valley with a curtain of lush green. As a boomtown devoted to extracting Zendric's riches, Stormreach will never be mistaken for a capital city or a paragon of architectural splendour. The climate seems agreeable, though at least between storms, and the place holds an air of ancient mystery. You can see why so many choose to stay in Stormreach long after their expeditions have staggered out of Zendric's interior and returned to civilization. And I will take us over to Stormreach, which you will probably have to zoom out of. As you have a look at this place, on the right hand side there are some small pictures, and I can do things like this to sort of show you what we're looking at, but yeah, they're just, I guess, some people's renderings of what Stormreach might look like. Lots of docks and all manner of buildings, and there is obviously this master key down at the bottom of the map that details what all of the numbers on the map stand for. Obviously, your players don't have this key, so some of that is unknown at this point, but you will, upon landing and talking to the harbour master, would be able to have a map that at least doesn't have the numbers written on there or anything like that, but does have the major districts written on there, which are Southwatch, Oldgate, Temple, Marketplace, Forge Light, Cross, Respite, and Silverwall, as well as the harbour. So each of those major districts are labelled, and yeah, you guys can chat with the harbour master, who I will, let's see, where are we here? We are in the harbour district, in the harbour master's house, and I'm going to reveal that now to all players. So, this is just a handout. I don't think, yes, I do not have picture for him at this stage, as it's not essentially all that important, but his name is Harbour Master Zin, who oversees the day-to-day running of the harbour, and he's a middle-aged, overworked halfling. His house is partly a public building, which is where you have come to sort of say, our ship's in the harbour. You can get this map from him and any other information that you like.
Now, hold on, Bastion says. This temple district, what gods are worshipped there?
Many. You will get the idea that Corvair and Eberron as a whole, it's more that we follow religions rather than particular gods here in Eberron, as your character would be aware. There are individual gods attached to both the Sovereign Host and the Dark Six, so essentially 6 good deities and 6 not so good deities. And then the rest of the religions are pretty much just organizations that sometimes have a figurehead or an ideal, but it's not so much that they follow a deity. So from what is represented at the temple, in the temple district, there is a temple to the Silver Flame, to the Sovereign Host, the Dark Six, the Path of Light, I believe. But the main ones being the Silver Flame and the Sovereign Host, in the temple district at least. And he'll be able to, tell you as much just while speaking with you.
We should talk as a party to decide on what we want to accomplish here in the city before we set out.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Warm beds in a nice inn seems like the first priority. A place for us to meet up.
Yeah, and sorry?
Oh, Lana's just chiming in and agreeing with Bastion.
Excellent. You also have this quest that we found out that there is a scholar from Moorgrave University that's living here in Stormreach. Her name is Ulina Pyranim, and that we should look her up when we get to the city, and we're here now. We think that being a scholar from Moorgrave University and having lived here for a while, that she might be able to direct us to, a good quality inn and those other things that comforts that we might want to find.
Lana, perhaps you should speak to the harbor master and see if there's any rumors or such going on in the area, either related to what we're looking for or just things we should know of.
I really hope the harbor master's just kind of within earshot, like, oh yeah, I could totally do this. Lana also just be like, yeah, I guess that's the first stop we could do. I was on the note of Bastion wanting to go find an inn and whatnot and such. That's also a really good spot. Just kind of ask around the locals. So and then she turn on her heels as she just kind of finds herself rambling and go, harbor master, Zim, right? So what's the news going on in town? Like, anything of interest? Any events? Anything we should be aware of?
Well, there's always
Caution.
something going on here in Stormreach.
Excellent.
Yes, quite. But I'm interested in your travel here. I've heard that many captains have had a bit of difficulty of late of the seas, and yet you have come into my harbour, and doesn't seem like you've been hurt in any way. I'd be most excited to hear about your travels.
Lana just smiles and she's like, "You should have seen us last week." But yes, we are here. How about if you could lead the way to a tavern that you highly respect, and we can sit down and shoot the breeze over some good drinks.
Why, of course. Yes. Yeah, my underling will take control over here while we have a chat, and we'll, let's say, exchange information. That sounds like a great idea.
I imagine there's not much to do as a harbor master if no other ships have been coming in.
Well, ships do come in, but some from around other places in Zendrick. Obviously, this is an island continent, so ships are always coming in. But this is the first ship that we've had in a little bit from Sharn, or the main continent. A couple of days, anyway. He will effectively, lead you to a decent, albeit not great, inn, where you can sit down and have a drink while he tells you about the local gossip. The things that he tells you are, obviously, that ships have been struggling to find their way here. We already know that. We already experienced that. Here in Zendrick, they have been having issues with giants that occasionally, not regularly, but occasionally try to conquer parts of Stormreach and take it back for themselves. The giants used to live here, and they still consider that perhaps it is their territory to take back. An attack like this took place about a week ago, and generally these attacks aren't regular, so he says that you shouldn't have to deal with that in the next couple of weeks, as, tends to be sort of once a month. Not regularly in the sense that it's the same day or anything, but, sort of every 3 to 4 weeks there might be a small foray of various giants that try to take parts of the city for themselves. Tells you that might be the case, but it's going to be some time before another attack happens. He says that there is a new gang in town, that they're used to having 2 gangs in town, but there is recently a new one that has been making some moves, and that, the other gangs have had to sort of wrestle with them, and there's been some trouble around the city because of the unrest. And that this new gang seems to be made up of lizard or snake people. He's not exactly sure which, because he hasn't really seen them in person, because they're pretty much brand new. But he's heard of these incursions where turf has been, little turf wars, I guess, between members of different gangs. He can tell you a little bit about the gangs that have been here for some time, which are the bilge rats and what's the name of the other one? I'll remember it in a second. This other one anyway, and that these tunnel snakes, the new gang, are causing some trouble. Apart from that, everything's kind of, just kind of business as usual. People are finding ruins and exploring things and obviously discovering parts of Zendrick that we're not familiar with. All sorts of stuff. Yeah. That's the short version anyway, he says.
Can you tell us where we might find Lena Pernim?
Oh, I've heard that name. And he sort of looks at his sort of list of arrivals and things like that, and he doesn't find the name there, and he's like, I have heard that name somewhere, and he sort of, you might sort of say something about her to trigger his memory, which...
I think she's been here a while, and she's from Moorgrave University.
Ah, yes, the university, of course. There'd be a number of places that she might be, but I would start at the museum, the local museum, yes. That would be in Aldgate. It's called Blackross Museum.
Great, thank you.
Yes, that's where I would start. I'm not entirely sure that's exactly where she'll be, but they will know where she is if she isn't there at that time.
That sounds like a great place to start. Thank you so much.
Oh, not a problem at all.
Righto. Would we have laid out the map and kind of like point to the area?
Yeah, so, let's see here. Aldgate is up here. And he says, probably go through the marketplace and then into the temple district and around to like the other side of Aldgate. He says the embers inside Aldgate, while it's not dangerous, it's probably somewhere you want to skip out on just for the moment. He says, yes, there seems to have been a few more attacks around the Embers district, at least from what I've heard. Not firsthand, of course, but you will understand. I suggest you go through the temple and around to the other side of Aldgate. That's where the museum is anyway.
Yes, we can hit two birds with one stone.
Yes, indeed.
With that, Lana would leave down coin for drinks and kind of gather up her things and look to the others if they're going to come too, and
Felice immediately follows her lead.
You know it. The chase is on.
Wolf.
Bastion will stand, taking his mace in hand.
Indeed. So, actually, there's more gangs than what I said. So he will tell you about the main ones. So he tells you about the bilge rats, which I'll put there, which they dominate the harbour district. He says you shouldn't be too concerned about the bilge rats unless you get in trouble. And he tells you about the Titans, which are half-giant brawlers that sometimes pick fights with smaller races. And let's see. He says that there are a few others, but of course this new group, the Tunnel Snakes, are brand new.
The Titans, are they related to the Giants?
Well, they're half giant, yes.
Oh boy, I bet they're fun.
Well, fun if you like getting roughed up.
Ooh, thank you.
They sort of run a little brawlers guild as well.
Oh, wow.
And you never bet against a half giant.
I wouldn't mind taking a round or two.
Ah, looks like you can handle yourself there. I mean, you could earn yourself a couple of coins.
Yeah.
I'd
Are
bet
you
on you.
implying I fight for money? Bastion cracks a smile. Kidding, kidding. Coins equals diamonds. Diamonds equals more saved lives. More saved lives means closer to more redemption.
Oh, you're in the business of saving lives. Well, that's good for you, sir.
That's good for you.
You know, my uncle's brother, in other words, my father, he was once saved by someone that was that you know had the mark of healing. I mean, you wouldn't have that being well. I'm guessing you're a warforged. I mean, there's all sorts of, you know. I don't like to just assume these days, you know, with so many different sorts of mechanical beings out there.
Warforged is my type.
Ah, excellent, excellent, yes. Well, you'd be most welcome here in Stormreach, as long as you don't make too much trouble. But, yeah, I suppose that you're really allowed to make trouble, as, you know, it's an interesting city.
It certainly seems that way.
Lana's smirking, just like she's amused, to say the least.
Yeah, this guy's nothing like Ren. I saw your post earlier and like, nah. There's nothing. There's nothing. Yeah, so is there anything else I can do for you? Obviously I'll have to get back to my duties soon.
We're good. Thanks.
Alright, take it easy.
Thank you. It was nice to meet you.
Ah, you too. Do you know whether Hyacinth's bouquet is going to be in the docked for very long? Are you intending on using her to, you know, traverse the seas around this fine continent, or are they traveling back home again?
Lana, like, immediately, without skipping a beat, like, we intend not to be here that long, and yeah, we intend to go home with her, yes?
Oh, so it's just a flying visit. Excellent, excellent. Well, do enjoy yourselves. And he gets up from his seat and he tosses a coin as well to pay for himself at the bartender, who catches it lithely, and then he goes back to his duties in the harbour.
Well, it's just having small panic attacks, and did we discuss this?
Yeah.
Did we discuss
Lisa's
this?
looking at you like with wide eyes, thinking,
We probably should go back and just make sure that we're on the same page with her.
We need-
I don't need her leaving us here I don't want to be left here.
Maybe that's for the best, yeah.
And then we'll go onward to the temple and then to the museum.
Lana, are you really sure you want to pay her for every day she sits that boat in the harbor? She's not going to stay here if she's not earning money.
Maybe we can help find things to take back to make it worth her while.
You mean like the priceless works of art that we found on that island that you didn't want to go to? Donald stroke his chin.
Well, there we go. Our money problems are solved, okay?
You mean the money that you were dead set against earning? Just to be clear about which priceless piece of art that we're talking about.
How are we getting back when we're done here? We didn't
exactly. That's the important thing.
We didn't even talk about it. We just
you just left, and you're just like, we need to get back at some point. I mean, whoops.
You family to us now. We weren't thinking clearly.
Clearly, you weren't thinking clearly.
Relax.
Clearly.
Bastion
Donald
says.
shrugged. We don't even know how long we're gonna be here. I think it's best to find new passage when we need it. And if she's here, she's here.
I guess it could take us a while.
She'll be here for a few days at least, getting that.
Yeah, she'll have to unload and then repack the ship with goods that she can sell back on the mainland. So, yeah, she'll at least be here for 3 days.
And it's probably going to be months before we actually figure out what's going on.
Oh my gosh, no!
We don't even know where to start.
We've got no idea. This is like a new frontier for us.
Exactly, Donald say, pointing at Lana.
Don has a good point as usual. I guess we should
Let's
just
go visit this friend of yours and see just how much there is to know. As long as tries not to have a panic attack.
Worst case scenario, I can always simply message her, find out where she is and what she's doing, possibly scry her. And when the time comes, we can simply wait for her. Goodness knows we have enough gold and business to attend to in this town to keep ourselves busy.
Absolutely. Alright, so to get to the Temple District, obviously you have to go through the Marketplace District. You would definitely be going through the Bazaar, so I will put that into our handouts there. And then it looks like, don't worry about the chapter house. I'm just sort of looking down here as to what you would pass by. Definitely you would pass by the Stormreach recruiters. You would see that many people come in and out of there all of the time. So you would see that, and then you would go into the Temple District, and it looks like the places that you would most likely go past would be, you would see the Livewood Theatre, which is the largest theatre in the city. There's people performing there. There's both an open air and an inside area to that. Obviously, you'll only see the open air part for the moment. You will see the Keep of the Silver Flame, which is a quite impressive building. That's there. Flamic architects showing their persistence in creating this stone building, sinking great pillars into the boggy ground and then topping it with a spire of stone and silver. So that's quite impressive. And then you'll go past 36, which is Temple Row, which has shrines and stalls and various other religions and things that you'll be able to see in there.
As we go past that area, are there any dwarfs?
For sure, absolutely. That, you know, they're not. You wouldn't consider them common, but you do see one on occasion.
All right. Bastion will make the mental note of which stalls have dwarfs in them or which shrines has a dwarven attendant.
Sure. Okay. For sure. And then you would go into Oldgate through there. Unless anyone wants to stop anywhere, I'm just sort of basically taking us to where we said that we wanted to go at this stage.
Onward.
Alright. And in Oldgate, you would definitely find the Blackross Museum, which I will put in here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take us to the Blackross Museum now, since that is where we were headed. And here we are, in Blackross Museum. I'm not sure it's really that necessary to pull your characters in, but you know what? I'm going to grab your characters and pull them in here. Just in case you sort of want to look around. I don't have, like, you know, descriptions of each of the things in here. Silas isn't here. Yeah, then you can just consider that there's Zendrick pieces of art and archaeology all through this museum. There's also pieces from elsewhere around Corvair. The majority of it, though, is from here in Zendrick. So all sorts of art and devices of who knows what kind, statues and books. You are greeted by Sean MacDonald, who is carrying a pile of rolled up scrolls under one arm, and yeah. He sort of says, "Oh, welcome to Blackross Museum. My name is Sean. It's a pleasure to meet your acquaintance. Please, feel free to look around. You will find that the first find of note is right here in the center of the room. And you will notice that there is indeed a place where you can donate to the proceeds of the museum by flicking your coin up into the air, at which point it is caught up in the air, and it does a circle around this exhibit, and things animate as they go, and if one of you does do that, you know, all of these bells and whistles start moving around and stuff.
Wow.
And he's thrilled at any donation to his establishment. He says, if you need a hand with anything, please don't hesitate to come and find me. And he shuffles off to continue to sort and deal with his scrolls.
Elise kind of watches him go off with her hand half raised.
Yes, ma'am. What can I do for you?
I just, I wondered if you know where we can find Lena Purnham.
Oh,
We were hoping to see her.
I'm pretty sure the last time I saw her, she was in the library. That's just down to the... How about I show you? And we'll see for ourselves if she is indeed there. And he will show you down into the library. And indeed, so we're coming down here into the south.
Don will toss a coin in on his way past if nobody else does.
Oh, cool, yeah.
Bastion will as well.
There's little airships that sort of fly around after you've as the coin travels through this thing, and they sort of they deliver something to some unknown location and chuff off, and it's a cool little display of things. And yes, Sean will lead Felice and whoever else wants to come down into the library, and you will indeed find Lena, who I will now reveal to you.
So much, Sean.
Oh, you're welcome. You're most welcome. Alina is she supports our work here, and she's a good person. And he'll introduce you. So let me put that in all players' journals. So she is now in your contacts, and I will also put Sean and his wife, though you haven't quite met her yet, into your journals as well, because they are, they control this museum and run it. But Ulina, who you've been looking for, is a dark-skinned female human. She is dressed in scholarly clothes and has her dark hair up in a bun. She carries a large leather satchel and has an air of someone on the verge of an amazing discovery. She currently has her head in some books, and she lifts her glasses to look at you as you approach. And obviously Sean introduces you and says, Miss Olina, I hope we're not disturbing you. Here are some visitors to our lovely establishment here, and they were actually asking after you, and I thought that you might like to speak with them. And then he says, hey, if you don't mind, I do have some sorting to do. If you need anything, please, come and find me, and we'll make you as comfortable as we can. And he heads off as you talk with Alina.
Hi, Alina. I'm Felice Kofi Jones. We just came from Sharn. I'm a student at Morgrave University in the archaeology department.
Oh, really? Oh, it is a pleasure to meet your acquaintance, Felice.
Very nice to meet you too. These are my friends.
Wow,
Donna,
there are certainly a lot of you.
Bastion.
Hi.
Hello.
You could say you could judge a person's character based on their friends.
Indeed. I haven't seen you around here before. Are you new here in Stormreach?
Just arrived today.
Today? Wow. Well, you certainly are very quick to get to know the city. How do you like it so far? It is an interesting place.
It's very interesting. I'm looking forward to exploring it.
Oh, yes, there is much to explore. Though I'm glad that you are traveling in a group, because sometimes it can be not exactly safe depending on where you are. But never mind that. I'm sure that with such a group, you're not going to have any troubles. So how can I help you? I hear from Sean that you've been asking after me. You're from Morgrave University? Definitely. Look, I spent a lot of my time there. I haven't been there in some time, though. How are the professors? And she'll just, go on and ask about people that you would know about, and you can sort of report on how things are going. But she's like, so is there something that I can maybe do for you, though? If you're new in town, how might I be able to help you?
Well, we thought you might be able to help with a couple things. First thing, immediate needs. Can you recommend a good inn for us to stay at? A safer district or, that sort of thing? A little bit of tourist advice, if you will?
Absolutely, she says. I can absolutely recommend an inn. In fact, there is probably one of the nicer inns that I've stayed in here in this district where you are now, in Aldgate. It is called the Manticore's Tail, and it is a lovely place, and it sort of matches, I guess, the ambiance of Aldgate. And you guys having walked through a little bit, you saw that it's very polite, very clean, very safe here in this particular district. Sort of far from the chaos of other neighboring districts. Everything's ordered, and there are nice, hedges that are all sort of trimmed to exactly the right length and all of that sort of thing. And she's like, yes, I've stayed in the Manticore's Tail, and how about this? Why don't you stay there on me for at least for the next couple of nights while you adjust to the city, and just tell them that Olena sent you. And they will find you, some nice rooms to stay in.
Well, that's really kind of you. Thank you. It would be great to be close to the museum, and I'm sure we'll need to speak to you about some other things while we're here. So that would be, wow. Thank you.
Oh, look, no, look, you're part of the university, so yeah, we can forward the expenses there if we need to. She says. They have funded some of my expeditions up to date. Although I've been wanting to leave on an expedition for some time, and I haven't really had a lot of luck finding an escort. There's been a lot that's going on in the city, and some of my contacts are already out and about. At least most of them, and I've been itching to look. I've made a great discovery. I won't be shy about it. She says, I believe that I've found a giant obelisk that could be the key to uncovering some history that has been lost to us for some time. And she sort of goes on about it really at length, and how excited she is. She's clearly like bubbling with excitement about it. And she says, I just haven't found anyone to accompany me just yet. But you say that you're here in Stormreach for a while. I hope that you can put your feet up for a while, and while you're here. Don't let me go on too much, she says. But if there's anything I can help you with, do come back. Do talk to me. I firsthand explored quite a few ancient ruins here in Zendrick. What is your your interest here?
I feel like, yeah, Lana would be piping in going, well, have you heard about what's been happening up north on the main continent?
She says, not really. I'm sorry. I mean, my research is all based here. I don't really,
Yeah, well, other than I believe you've heard of the ships and issues that have been happening around the port. We have weird nightmares happening up north. and it's affecting mostly the children.
Nightmares.
And it seems that they're originating from somewhere in Zendrick, at least as far as we could figure from the mainland.
Huh, she says. That's very interesting. I can't say that I've had any nightmares. Well, at least not unusual ones. She sort of says, well, I guess you've come to the right place then, I suppose. Look, I could probably, do some research and find out how you might, track down where those nightmares are coming from. It would take me some time, but and as I told you, I'm in need myself. I'm just so excited about this expedition. Perhaps then, I don't know. She looks at the group and she sort of says, I don't want to ask too much of you, but maybe we could be of assistance to each other. Where I'm going, it will take a little bit of overland travel, so I could tell you everything that I know about, I guess, dreams and... there are beings here that have control over dreams. I couldn't tell you everything I know, even just sitting down here and talking for the rest of the day. But, if you came with me on our expedition, I guess, we could talk each night and hopefully I'd be able to give you as much help as I can by the time we get back. But it's up to you. I don't want to push you, especially since you've just arrived.
I'm all down for trying to, for studying on the trip. What books do we need? Point to them. I'll help you find them, and we will make a pile.
Hold up, Lana, before you agree to something.
You read really slow anyway, so it's like the scholars in the group are going to be very much very easily read through everything, and Lana's just like, I think this is it. What about this book? This book looks like it has all the answers.
Right, yeah. She mostly points you to drow texts.
Cool.
Perhaps we should discuss this, Lana, before we agree to anything hasty.
Lana's face is all lit up, like she's practically drooling. She's so excited about the prospect of helping Lena, but she's amazingly enough holding control of herself and speaking for the party at this point.
Sure.
Her focus is finding answers, and if they were just going to go on an excursion, she was going to be like, no, we have bigger fish to fry. I gotta find stuff. But it's like, hey, if she's going to help us, then okay, I'll help out too, because that seems fair, even though she really has no interest in going on some expedition, because just knowing her luck when she goes on these adventures, she's like, something's gonna happen.
Bastion will tap his foot and he'll say, we of course would expect some compensation for our efforts.
Oh, yes. Look, I'm sure we can come to some sort of arrangement. Certainly, I do pay those that I go on, that escort me on various digs. I don't know what your rate is, but certainly, we will be out of town for quite some time. It's at least a week's travel overland, and of course, you will be compensated for that. I can give you a down payment if you agree. But before we talk about and negotiate these fees, look, be my guest at the Manticore's Tail. Get some rest and familiarize yourself with the town. I'll be here doing some research. I can pick out some key texts for you. While I'm here, I'm pretty familiar with the library here. Yeah, we can meet up and have a chat in the morning or at your convenience, she says. Although I must admit I am keen to get going as soon as we can.
You wouldn't happen to be studying anything that has anything to do with the Fae, would you?
She looks like she pulls down her glasses, you know, to the tip of her nose and looks over to you, and she says, "Oh, is that why you're here?"
Well, I'm a student of Fae studies, and I'm working on my thesis.
Oh,
So
oh,
all
excellent.
wrapped up in this is, some possible connections to the Fae, and I'm hoping that I'll
Huh.
find that last, breakthrough that I need
Look,
for my
it
thesis.
does sound that, and she does, hand over a couple of these books that she's been starting to pull down from the shelves. She says, "Yeah, look, the study that has been done on the drow suggests that they hunt these animals that they call dream serpents, and the drow have some use for them. I'm personally, my area of research is the giants. So while I know a little bit about the drow and their existence here, I'm not the top expert to speak to about them. But certainly, if you come with me, you'd be looking through these ancient drow manuscripts. There might be some information there. And I have found this other one thing. I have heard that nearby this encampment of giants that we're going to, or that we would be going to, that there is evidence, I don't know how real it is, that an ancient king of the Fae might once have lived there, or perhaps still lives nearby. I don't know how we would find them if they still do, but some of my research does suggest that there is a king of the Fae that could potentially still live nearby.
Wow, that would be amazing. We definitely need to talk some more. And I want to check out this museum, of course, but
Oh, look,
I
this
look
place
around at
is
everybody, I say,
incredible, she says. I've only just really touched the surface here, and there are many finds here that I could only dream having been a part of, but
oh, it just looks really amazing. I guess we'll go get settled, and I look around at everybody, and we'll talk,
yeah,
and we'll meet up with you tomorrow.
that would be lovely.
Wonderful.
One more thing you could help me with.
Uh,
You said that there are parts of town that were more dangerous than others. Which ones should be avoided?
Okay, so she says that the most dangerous locations are the parts of the harbour district that are not directly the dock. So you don't just go wandering around in the harbour district. You arrive at the dock and then you immediately leave by the quickest route necessary to the marketplace. So she says definitely that. Apart from that, she says, one second while I'm just browsing my notes here. He says, nothing in Oldgate is really of concern, although the Embers have had some attacks there recently. So she reiterates what has been said. She says, yes, I believe that there's a new gang in town. I think they call themselves the Sewer Snakes, she says. So now we've had the Tunnel Snakes and the Sewer Snakes. We don't know which is the right name, but the harbour master and Alina have given us different names. She's totally not sure. She says, yeah, they've been making some trouble. So perhaps wouldn't go there. Apart from that, the only other place that I would maybe stay away from is Southwatch. There's some places in Southwatch that are a bit dodgy, if you ask me. People move through there very quickly. They're very skittish. People shut themselves in their homes. It's just not very nice. So probably, unless you have to, probably stay away from Southwatch. After all, I mean, the Temple of Vol is there, and well, let's say that their activities are questionable. I'm not one to judge, though, she says, but yeah, probably not a safe district. Although you do look like you can handle yourselves. Just, I'd be careful.
Oh, no point in inviting trouble.
Absolutely right, she says.
Well, thanks for the advice. Anything else we should know?
Not offhand, she says, but if I think of anything, I'll send word to the Manticore's tail.
Great. We'll see you tomorrow then.
All right.
Unless anybody else wants to ask you anything, I'll look around it.
And yeah, she puts her glasses back on fully, and goes back to her books.
Cool. So Felice starts wandering back through the museum. She's having a hard time not just stopping and gawking. She's gonna come back and do it justice.
Oh, look, every exhibit here also has, one of those bronze plaques that has all of the details about where it was found, what it was, and the conjecture about, the time period that it was in, and all of that stuff. So, like, if you even look into one of these glass cases, you find yourself being absorbed into whatever history, and you're like, oh, but this was, but that was, yeah.
Right. Oh my gosh. She wants to come back with, like, her notebook and everything.
This is the work of several generations, by the way, this museum. So it's not just, yeah.
Everybody got quiet.
Yeah, Lana got quiet.
All right.
So, are any of these artifacts marked as magical?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of them are connected to ritual magic that no one knows how to do. Some of them are like activate upon, on use. There's all sorts of items here. And if you pop to detect magic, you would be totally washed away with just so many signals. It would overwhelm you.
All right.
Everything
they
that's
leave-
magical is under lock and key, though.
All I have to do is kill everyone in the museum.
Yeah.
So as we leave, Bastion will bring up, we could leave that bracelet or that sword, the one with the name here. I wonder if they'd be interested in those findings. Neither one of them do us much good out in the field.
Well, I kind of promised Morgrave that I'd bring any artifacts and relics back with me.
You
So
think
the thing
that
is, do they constitute as relics?
this museum and the Morgrave University Museum are probably not sister museums, but sort of like that.
Okay.
In
that case, yeah.
It wouldn't be. They'd probably be disappointed, but you can. In fact, you know what? As you're passing some of these exhibits, a number of them, a couple, would have on it on loan from the museum at Morgrave University.
Nice. Okay.
So they share their finds, basically.
Okay. So in which case she would actually probably say something like, well, I thought I'd talk to the curator about them.
Just a thought.
Yeah, I'm on it.
Cool. So did you want to do that now, or do we want to head to...
No, she'll do that when she'll like, unless the rest of the party's like really wanting to do it right now, her thought again is to come back and spend some time here.
Yeah.
And so she would do it then.
Okay.
Because she's also got that tiara that she wants them to look at, so.
Alright. Cool. Well, yeah, you can come back here at any time, and you know that this district is basically the safest place that you can be. There's also, just so that you know, an upstairs. So there's more for you to explore, but you would see the stairs up there and you'd go, maybe let's just go for now and I'll come back.
Yeah. She really wants a bath and yeah.
Yeah, alright, so we'll go over then. The Manticore's tail is literally just down the road, and I'm going to take us over there now. Alright. Why is that not showing? That's interesting. Huh. While you guys are familiarizing yourself, I have to quickly just put in the other level of this place, because for some reason, at least on my screen, I'm only seeing the common room and then the basement, but we should have the second room as well here. So let me do that. Let me pull that in here. Not sure what happened there. So
For a second, I thought you were rolling for the level of the shopkeep. Like, level 20!
Alright. There we go. Okay. So, there we go. Now we are all good. So, so you are on the ground level as you approach. It's a lovely building. Very rustic. and pristinely kept. You can tell this just by looking at it. It is a 2-story building. Obviously, the map shows you that. The map also details that there is a basement, but unless we have reason to go down there, you would know of its existence probably, or guess at its existence, but we wouldn't know the layout of of it. But yeah, you guys are welcome to move around and meet some people. There are other people. I'm not going to populate it as far as what you see on Roll20. But there are other people here. It's not literally just Mike, the barkeep. But he stands out a lot. He is built like an absolute brick house. He is stacked. Yeah, he's probably bigger than Bastian. Which is saying something. And he's tending the bar, wiping it down, keeping it nice.
Lana has already taken off to find herself a room.
Absolutely. Lana's room.
Really?
Nice.
You just go find yourself a room?
I mean, you would have to.
Talk to the innkeeper about that.
We're obviously we're cutting to the. Oh, we've.
Like, I want your finest room. I need a bath.
Just graffiti all over the floor, your name.
There's just like a sign on the door.
Whichever one opened it up. I called him.
How did you do that? How did you
freehand the paintbrush and then freehand? Or you can do the text.
Yeah.
So go upstairs, knock on Lana's door, go to open it, say, "Hey Lana, food's ready, we're ready to go." And as you step in, you see just Lana on the floor with the dagger carving her name into the floor.
It's just like,
I'll come back later.
Not that uncultured, but
yeah, so sure. I mean,
okay, Lana can share if someone needs to share, but she gets the bet.
Mr. Glassford will hear that you've been sent by Olena, and he will definitely ensure that you have rooms for the night. They're lovely. Everything in here is homely, warm, and inviting. Maybe except Mike, who is very nice, but he's also very intimidating on the level of just pure size. But he does greet you with a smile, and he's very kind-hearted. You can sort of see how he treats you and how he treats his staff. The staff are all homely and welcoming. And the patrons are all, sort of quiet, but, in reverie. There's some private little booths and things off to the sides here that you can... there's a curtain that sort of can cover if you need privacy in these areas. There's a nice little kitchen. Yeah, you name it. You've got it.
Yeah, I think Lana will be a lot more interested because she just wants some time to decompress. They've been on a ship for a month, so
Yeah.
freshen up before mingling.
Well, he'll make sure that the baths upstairs are all hot and steaming.
Nice.
He sends
When I'm done.
one of his staff to go up and prepare the rooms. When you do go up there, it takes about sort of 20 minutes or so for them to prepare your rooms. But when you do go up there, all of the linen and everything in the room is fresh and freshly wiped down and freshly ready. So, yeah.
I managed to move my character button off the screen.
Well done, Lana. Well done.
Well, I'm going on an adventure. Oh, jeez.
Alright, I'll go and grab it.
Here it was, like, I was like, okay, I'm going to select all my stuff and leave it. And that way, yeah. And then it's like, wait, remove your token from that area so you don't delete your token on accident.
There you go.
Right. Thank you.
Welcome.
I see your face. I have lost privileges to move my token. Oh wait, there she is. There's one of her outside in the grass.
Bastion will take his time going through the drinks that are offered here, and he'll select one of the finest.
Cool. Yeah, there's pretty good variety of drinks. Everything from what basically what they'll have is at least one ale and one wine from every major nation across Eberron.
Wow.
Ooh, tempting.
If you
Bastion will
pick
make
really
his
well, you can
selection,
put the
and
first one into that mug of yours.
that was the goal.
There's more wines from the elves and halfling areas than there are ales, but they also have an ale from those areas, and there are more ales from like the dwarven and goblin or Kekvalar areas than there are wines. But again, there is at least one wine selected from the area. So
Bastion will select a good L.
cool.
Not goblin trash, but dwarven.
Dwarven, perfect. Yeah,
Dwarven.
that's really good. So, okay, so we've had that. Some of you are nearly ready for a bit of a break here in a few minutes. Is there any information that we want to get, or anything that we're trying to gain apart from resting while we're here at the Manticore's Tail?
If the party goes to bed, Bastion is going to go out and wander on his own.
Yeah, what time of day?
I think he would have pulled in late afternoon.
Okay.
So it's probably coming to about dinner time ish. Okay. It's probably like 5:30, 6 o'clock ish. You've just come from the university, from the museum. They close at about 5:30. So you would, when you were there, which would have been, I don't know, between about 4:30 and 5:30, you saw that they were starting to pack up, but they did most of it away from your vision so that you wouldn't feel like you were being rushed out. But you would have noticed that, they were starting to close up. And yeah, you've arrived at the tavern, like pretty much right on dinner time. The meals here look excellent. There are a number of other patrons that are having meals. You see that there are freshly cooked fish with a plethora of local vegetables and salad, depending on what people are after. There's also roast boar, which is excellent. And for the very, very, very hungry, there is actually a challenge on the board, which is a side of dino meat. And if you were able to complete the entire thing, you would be put on the VIP board and for the rest of time, basically, that you managed to eat it. And also you would get any meals that you partook from here for a week free of charge. While your rooms are free of charge for the next 2 or 3 days that Alina offered for you, your food and drinks are not free of charge. She has not paid for that.
Nice.
As she does not know you and doesn't know how much that's going to put her into debt. But she knows how much the rooms are and she's willing to pay that standard fee.
Sure.
All right, Bastion will take that eating challenge.
Bastion! Bastion!
Cool.
Hey, Dawn, I found a way to save money.
Yeah, so when they bring it out, and it's probably the meal that takes the longest. I don't know what the rest of you are ordering, but it takes the longest to bring out. And when they bring it out, the plate takes up about 3/4 of the table.
Wow. And
All right, crack my knuckles, casting guidance on myself.
Yep, absolutely. You think this is probably...
in 3 weeks.
You think that, comfortably, if you just eat at a decent pace, it's probably going to take you between 90 minutes and 2 hours to eat this thing.
wow.
Wow. He's gonna go at it like a machine.
Well, you are a machine. Excellent. So when you bite into this, has Bastian eaten this sort of meat before, like the meat of a dinosaur?
I doubt it.
He's a machine. What does it matter?
Yeah. Like, do you have taste buds? I'm guessing yes. Like,
Yes.
you like the
of
finer
course, you can taste
ales and things. Yeah. So okay. Yeah. So this meat is cooked to absolute perfection. It is like falling off the bone, but it is full of flavor. My partner is getting hungry as I'm describing it. Yeah, it's delicious. But there is an awful lot of it. There is an awful lot of it.
You better be hungry.
And there's a nice collection of local sides to go with it if you want that. And of course you've got your fine dwarven ale on the side as well. So I guess just make me a constitution check. I suppose you can call it a save, but you're not saving, you're just checking to see if you can finish it all.
I have advantage against poison.
Well, it's definitely not poison.
Just making sure.
That would be bad for
Right, so
business.
Constitution saving throw.
Sure, yep. We're just seeing... Oh, yeah. You get through about half of it, and half of it's still there, and you swear you've eaten more than you have in, 3 days already. You're looking at it going, oh, I could fit it in. After all, you are a machine. But you're feeling full already.
Ugh, bit off more than I can chew.
Yeah.
I'll still give it a good run.
Yeah,
Eat as
I
much
mean-
as I can until my internal systems are screaming at me.
Yeah, I'm gonna say you can do it. Like it's just a matter of time and uncomfortability for your character. He's just like, oh, more, but it's so good, and he's just like, I can do this, and eventually, like an entire hour longer than what you were expecting, you finally 3 hours you've been sitting at this table trying to get through this Bronto steak, and you finally manage it.
Lana finally comes downstairs and is like, "What did I just miss?"
There's this massive like bone that's just sitting on the table that's got that's being cleaned off by Bastian.
You can see his stomach actually
witness.
expand.
Yeah, the metal is just like coming off.
Well, Bastion, how's your metabolism? Are you gonna be out for now, or are you gonna be hungry again by midnight?
I'm not sure if it's a wise idea for me to move much right now.
Yeah, you do really don't want to move. You're just like, no, I'm here.
Well, you enjoy digest. I think I'm up for some sweets. Anyone else?
Yeah. The rest of the tavern though are really impressed at this feat. They definitely put your name up on the board with the date. They go to offer you like a drink, and they realize how much you've eaten, and they're just like, should I offer a drink? But they're like, they want to like shout you around or whatever, even if it's on another day. They're very impressed.
Bastion takes those rain checks.
Cool.
But for now, he's positively regretting his decision.
Yeah, your whole body aches with having eaten for 3 hours straight. Is anyone else doing anything of importance? We can sort of take our player breaks now if this is a decent time for everybody.
That sounds
Yeah.
great.
Cool.
That's fine. Don wants to talk about our plans when we get back.
Yeah, we can get through that. So yeah, we'll be back in a couple of minutes, guys, with what happens next. Now that these guys are settled, they have everything that they sort of need. And I'll put us over to the Be Right Back screen, and it'll be just a couple of minutes, and we'll resume. All right, catch you in a bit. And welcome back to Return to Eberron, Cult of the Godseed. We are currently taking our leisure in this lovely, homely tavern called the Manticore's Tail. Getting to know Mike Glassman, the tavern keeper who is built like a brick house, and who we figured out whose hands are bigger than his own head. He's just that stacked. You guys are definitely enjoying your stay. There's really just the right temperature, those baths. Almost too hot to put your feet in, but once you sort of let yourself soak in, it's gorgeous. And you guys can take a load off and sleep the night. Is there anything else that we want to do before we sort of transition to the next day? I'll give you this opportunity to role play or meet with locals or whatever else.
Yes, Dawn intends to sit the group down and discuss their earlier conversation in the museum.
Okay.
So, everyone, I don't trust her, Don will say, tapping his finger on the table. Not 1 inch. Well, okay, maybe a couple feet, but not enough.
Why's that, Don?
She doesn't know anything about what we're trying to figure out. She's looking for people to bodyguard her while she goes on her expedition out into the wilderness. She'll say anything to get us to go with her. I mean, sure, she'll tell us a little bit that has maybe something to do with dreams, but you could very obviously tell she has no idea what we're actually looking for and is willing to tell us little breadcrumbs to keep us with her so she can go get her findings validated.
You know, Don, now that you say that, as Lana's taking a big mouthful of her food and she goes right on, just going, I didn't think about it like that. Maybe we should ask some of the people here to see if any of them have heard about the dreams going on. Because for all we know, she just maybe was too focused on stuff.
Exactly. Not to mention, if we do go with her, we're committing ourselves to how many weeks of travel for a maybe?
Yep.
And there's nothing about her destination that coincides with what we're actually trying to do, other than she might be able to talk to us about something that might seem a reasonable follow-up for us to make. So I know Lana's very concerned about how much time she's spending here. I would think this would be a huge red flag for her. We better make sure we know exactly where we're going before we run out into the wilderness.
Fair enough.
I like how you think, Don.
Although I will say this inn's kind of stuffy for my taste.
Well, I like this inn. My room
Food
is so
tastes better
great.
when you struggled to gather it. Just saying.
Yeah, you make a good point.
You know, she did mention something about a serpent, and that was something connected to the dreams. So,
Does that thing that Lana would have registered or noted from Aelmir's dream?
yeah. Somebody's dreams, because somebody said they were seeing I think it was Elmir.
Maybe.
That they saw a serpent of many colors. Oh, no, it was, Flamewim said it.
We can go back to our notes.
Flamewind, said that she saw a serpent that she thought was connected to the dreams, and then Lena just mentions this serpent, and I can't help but think there may actually be a connection. And even though she doesn't know necessarily exactly what we need, we didn't really cover a lot of detail with her, and she didn't give us a lot of detail either.
Yes.
I think it's we're talking to her a little bit more before we make a decision.
Yeah, and see if she is on the take, and then what she might be able to tell us, all this sort of stuff. So exactly what Flamewind said was, seek the serpent of many colors, there you may find some answers.
I was intending to look into the sewer serpents, street serpents, whatever you call them, in my
Tunnel
spare
snake.
time. But if they're a new gang, it might be a gang of many colors, or serpent of many colors, where they quite haven't gotten their name pinned down yet.
Or they're just
Our
so
goal may be
new
closer
that
than
no
we
one
thought.
really recognizes what their real name is.
I agree with you. Just hearing about them reminds me of the, I guess you'd call them a cult around the god seed that we originally found.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. See, we got the wootsies here?
It
That's
would
what they're
make
called,
sense, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, I hope not.
And some of those prophecies that you recorded from Aelmir did sound very much like how those UNT that we discovered back in the day were talking. Some of the language is oddly familiar. Or the way of talking, anyway.
It is interesting, though. Flamewind's prophecy did mention that the history of giant-born magic will be unearthed. Maybe that has something to do with our scholar friend.
Well, and she's studying the giants, so again, I do think there's a connection, you guys. I mean, it may not be exactly, we don't know how closely it's connected yet, but she didn't know anything about the nightmares, but that doesn't not connected, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So I do feel like it's worth, again, I think it's worth at least talking to her some more.
Okay.
I can't argue against that.
Yeah, we're not
We could also
committing
go
to anything
the
if we just
temple
talk to
district
her.
and see if people have been complaining about nightmares there. People turn to their deities when they're afflicted.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great idea, Dawn. I think that's really smart.
I had thought that the weeks of travel would be worth it, not for the payment, which will be enough to be worth our time, but not productive, nor for the knowledge gained, but rather to gain favor with the museum. If any place in this town would know things about the ancient workings of the islands, then it would be them.
Or someone
If they
affiliated
do not
with
know
them.
it now, they may know it in the future.
Yeah. You think that the museum is the storage place of the items that are found as part of other people's digs and things. How much they know at the museum, and I guess Felice saw this firsthand because she was so interested in some of those like glass cabinets, that much of the writing on those brass tablets was conjecture. It was like, we think that this was from this era, and this is why we think that, and this is how we think that this is connected to this. So some of it's guesswork based on whoever was at the dig. And, obviously they have a little library, which holds texts that have been found here on Zendrick. But how much the actual museum keepers know will probably be limited by, what they have and who has actually told them things. So, yeah, you don't... Okay, I'll give you this, right? You didn't think, even just in your brief meeting with the 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 owners that they themselves were archaeologists. You think that they're interested business people, not archaeologists.
It's like his
Historians?
buff
Yeah.
and
Historians?
curator.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, we didn't mention to her about the troubles with travel here either that have been going on. Maybe she's aware of it because, I mean, the harbor master must be.
I feel like Lana mentioned it where she was talking about like, well, you probably know about the stuff that's been happening around
Uh,
the area.
So but we didn't like. So Felice is trying to say that, you know, we didn't connect that with part of our reason for being here either. Like, it just, we had multiple things that were sending us here.
Yeah.
So, you know, we weren't exactly, you know, guys, we weren't exactly forthcoming with everything either. I mean, we're tired. We just needed to make the initial meeting, so.
Yeah. And we didn't know really
One of the
what we were coming up against and what was on the line either at this stage. So
one of the things that concerns me, Bastion says, is that she saw us as an escort, but I'm the only one appropriately armed to be an escort of any type. Lana, you have the moves of a dancer and the grace of a
He's
thief.
a different kind of escort.
But I'm afraid a small wind could knock you over.
And she just kind of looked at Bash as like, that may be true most of the time, but I hope you notice how well I handled myself back there on that island.
I did, but she didn't see that.
that is true. It seems like she's really overexcited, right? So you all saw that. And like she's jumping on any chance that she can to go out to this dig. At this stage, there might be more to that, but that's what you read when we were there.
So I think Felice would read some of that though as, oh, here's a fellow archaeologist who's, you know, like, you get two people together with the same passion and they start, you know. So I think Felice is maybe a little oblivious on that side, right? Because she's caught up in that excitement herself.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, she might be enlightened as people are pointing this out, and she's probably thinking, oh yeah, I should probably be taking some of this with a grain of salt, but...
So, okay.
Single-minded to the point of...
Let me try and, in a sentence, sort of frame what I've heard and where I think we're sort of going with this. We know that this woman might have some information, but how close it is to something that's actually going to be helpful, we don't know just yet. We also don't know her full motivations. It sounds like we want to go back and at least talk some of that out, get some more information, figure out if she's actually going to be useful, maybe decline her offer to go on this expedition, and in favor of doing our own investigations, depending on what she says. If it turns out that she's got really good information and that the only way we're going to get it is by accompanying her, maybe that's still on the table. But right now you're sort of thinking, it sounds to me like you're questioning that you have to do that. So we're just going to get the information and then decide if that's something that we still need to do or if there's another way to go about it to facilitate what we need rather than what she needs. Is that, have I put that okay?
I think so.
So, Bastion will go ahead and ritually cast communion,
Yeah.
and he will begin asking his 3 questions.
Sure.
And could you remind me what the researcher's name is again?
So we've all got it on our sheets, but yeah, it is Olena Pyranim.
She's listed in the context.
She's listed in contacts, yeah. Which we've got Flamewind, Jurasesh,
Okay.
Hyacinth, the ship's crew, Sean and Sienna, which we didn't meet Sienna, but she was upstairs, so we're effectively gonna meet her. I'm also gonna put in Mike here, since we've been to the tavern and we've at least met Mike. So he's in there now as well.
All right. So the first question is, will Ulena's information be useful for us on our quest?
Yes.
Second question, will Ulena's discovery be relevant to us on our quest?
Be relevant. Huh. So the answer that you get is more than just a yes or no. You get
The gods sigh and break their own rules.
yeah. That's okay. I'm happy to give you a little bit more. Sometimes I'll give you more and sometimes I'll give you less. In this case, I'll give you a little bit more. They say no, it's, her discovery isn't something that can directly help you. However, going with her could potentially mean that you find something else that could help you with what you're looking for. So her direct discovery doesn't directly help us, but there might be stuff around what she's doing that could.
Third question, are the sewer serpents the serpent of many colors from Flamewind's prophecy?
No.
Their names might not be the sewer serpents.
Yeah. So the deity replies because the deity can. The proper name, the proper name for this gang is actually the gutter serpents. That's what they call themselves. People are getting it wrong. Gutter serpents. There we go.
Oh, that would have been awkward.
All right, Bastion chuckles a bit. I've never had the gods be so talkative.
Secondly, yeah, no. They are not the many coloured snake in Flamewind's prophecy.
All right, Bastion claps his hands and he says, well, that clears things up.
Mm-hmm.
It seems that her discovery is selfish in nature, but may lead to our quest advancing.
Yeah.
Gods have spoken. My say is that we go with her.
Well, we can at least go talk to her and
I think we should, but that's a good vote of confidence, Bastion. Thank you.
Cool. All right. Well, we can do that. Again, it was just up the road. It's about 10 minutes to get from here to the museum. And let me take us back over there. Not that it's essentially all that important, but at least we can sort of have a look around and that sort of thing. Like I said, I don't have detailed lists of exactly what they have on display, but I can give you examples of things that might exist. And if you have specific things that you're looking for, I might be able to help you with that. I can't guarantee it because, like I said, I don't have that information. But if it seems like something that they would have, then we might find something out through that.
They don't have.
Okay. Yep. So you're back. She's gonna just be where she was in the little library section.
I look way more presentable now.
Have we done this like first thing in the morning or?
Well, you tell me. Like, we've slept. What time is it? You tell me.
I guess I'm asking the party, like.
We're doing this in the middle of the night.
No,
I think Lana would have pushed for, let's not be the weird people and go back twice in the same day. I think we're here. Let's just go to sleep.
It's closed anyway.
I'm assuming it's the next day.
So, I guess what I'm asking for Felice is whether or not the rest of the party feels like we would have gone first thing in the morning, or do we have time that she could have gone ahead to actually just peruse the museum before everybody else was? Because I kind of envisioned her like getting up and going to just to see the museum.
I would say that she's probably left early and she's probably been here for a little bit. Maybe it's not hours upon hours, but
yeah,
Okay. If you tell anybody, or is Lana going to be pounding on her door going, Police! Police!
She
Police!
probably told you before she went to bed. She would have said, hey, just so you know, if I'm not around in the morning, because I really want.
Because that's, that's all safe and good, If I'm not here, I'm probably safe,
I was like half asleep anyways. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, you do find Felice whenever you get there. Like, for ease, let's call it, I don't know, I'm guessing you guys have had a late breakfast. Slept in maybe a tiny bit. Call it between 10 and midday, somewhere in that window.
Yes.
So what are we doing?
Felice is probably heading off there. Lana would be up in the morning and doing her stretches and such, and just enjoying being able to I'm not on a boat. I have actual facilities to work with. And she'd eat a hearty breakfast, hopefully with Dawn and Bastion too. And
yeah.
I think you meant more specifically, what are we doing in the museum?
Sorry.
That's okay.
Let's go talk to Yulene.
Yeah. If there was anything important, then I would for sure go, but it sounds like you just want this information at this stage. By the way, if I rush ahead, you just let me know, yeah? So, yeah, so you can go and speak with her. So, do we want to... Okay, how are we approaching this? Do we want to tell her exactly why we're here and, have her have our information first? Or are we going to just, 20 questions to her first? What's the approach?
So, Don's the one that was kind of pushing this information gathering, but he also knows he's not really a great party face. So, but what he would express to Lana and Felice, who he believes are better equipped to talk to Yelena is that he'd want to know, have her explain what she's expecting to find on her expedition. What is the purpose of her expedition? What is she trying to prove, learn, or find, or look for there?
She would be more than happy to talk to you, and I'll just give you the Cliff Notes version, alright? So, she's learned of this location of a titanic statue deep in the southern jungles of Zendrick. It's quite some distance. In order to get there, she's basically is going to hire out a airship to get us closer, because if we were to travel overland on foot all the way there, we're talking that would be months upon months of expedition. But she's not willing for that to happen. She is going to get dropped off closer to the location. Once we're dropped off, she expects that it's probably going to be 6 or 7 days to get from where the airship is willing to drop us off to where we need to go. Once we're there, she expects to find not only this titanic statue that she believes has historic giant precedence, but she expects that there is going to be, at least her information says that there is a group of giants living around there that are neutral or friendly. She also believes that there is a giant ritual site as part of this statue that hopefully we'll be allowed to explore. She says if these giants are friendly, they're likely to have, because she's experienced this before, that most friendly giants tend to have some form of test to earn their respect and allow people to go through their ancestral areas. So she expects that there will be some form of test that would have to be undertaken as part of allowing us to look around the area. She says another way of approaching it would be to kill the giants, but she suggests that she does not think that they're going to be evil. She expects that they're going to be neutral to friendly, but will require us to make these whatever this challenge is, and she doesn't know what that is. In addition to finding the ritual site and the statue and the giants, she does want to look around the area and ask the giants about this King of the Fae that she talked to Felice about yesterday. She doesn't know really anything about that, but she's more excited about the giant stuff. But she says if that's true, that that would be a big discovery that she can peg her name to, if they do have any information. So she puts all that on the table. She says the travel between where the airship drops us off and where these giants are may be dangerous. It's wilderness. She's fought things before, or at least her escorts have. She's not much of a fighter. She's more of a researcher. But she's, that's why she gets help, because she can't do it all on herself. She believes that there's a hall of records as well as a ritual site there that will likely have some information about ancient giant society, something that really excites and interests her.
I didn't catch that. A hall of what?
Records.
Ah. Okay.
Can I
Beyond
roll
that,
sense motive to gauge her current level?
yeah.
Level 1. You squishy. No wonder why you need escorts.
So what are you trying to find out? Sorry.
I'm trying to gauge her combat experience, how well she can handle herself,
Okay.
essentially her durability.
Right. So I'm going to give you some slightly out of game knowledge here, right? So Eberron was originally written for the third or 3.5 edition of Dungeons and Dragons. So its whole base is in 3.5. When 4th edition came along, there were books surrounding it, but they were not even close to being as in depth as the books that were released with 3.5. 5th edition acknowledges its existence, and obviously lauds Keith Baker and his team for their world building. So Eberron as a setting actually was created out of a competition. There was this big role-playing competition where people wrote in and submitted their worlds to be judged and published. And Keith Baker's world, Eberron, was the one that was selected and the one that won that competition. And that was a big worldwide competition. Having said that, in the previous editions of Dungeons and Dragons, there wasn't just classes as we know them. So we know 5th edition classes as being barbarian, bard, you know, all of the ones that we know. In 3.5, they also had non-combat classes. Things like archaeologist, things like noble, things like artisan. There were all of these other sort of less combat-oriented classes to describe what non-player characters had in their arsenal. And so what Olina is she doesn't have a combat class. She has an NPC class. She is an archaeologist, so she has archaeology and history skills. Having said that, we've seen Indiana Jones, and we know that archaeologists tend to have some capability as far as that goes. She can use weapons. She's not opposed to doing so, and she will do so if she's threatened, but she prefers not to use them. So she's not a complete pacifist, but her preference is that way. Does that answer the question? I've tried to give you as much information as I can. So her class is archaeologist, and as far as levels go, she is the same amount of levels as we are, i.e. level 10 in archaeologist, where we are level 10 in our respective classes.
And the camera like zooms out of like Bastion's introspective, and Bastion says, "I see you're quite experienced with our. We'll protect you, but I can see you can handle yourself."
She says, "Well, thank you. I mean, when I first saw you, I also thought that you could handle yourself too, which is why I suggested this in the first place.
Wait, hold on. Donald, wave a hand. Are you two flirting? I'm a little rusty at this city thing, but I'm pretty sure you two were just flirting. Donald looked oddly proud of himself for figuring out conversational subtleties.
Lana's face calms.
Elise reddens a little, kind of like, what are we doing?
Right.
I have a mixed business with pleasure, Don.
Well, that was I don't know what that was, but
she moves her glasses down to the end of her nose again. She's like, so,
yeah.
How's the weather?
So, what do you know about, like, what should we prepare for if we decide to go with you? I mean, obviously you already said danger. What are we, gear wise, weather wise, length of expedition? What?
Right. So, okay.
Lay it out for us, Ulina.
As far as weather goes, we're not expecting bad weather. If you were to travel by sea, that would get much more unsure. However, we can fairly precisely predict that the days in the next couple of weeks are going to be mostly fine. There might be a rain shower here or there, and it might get hot, but mostly it's going to be temperate-ish, she says. I would recommend that you bring with you, obviously, enough food to sustain you while we're on the airship, which will be about a 4-day journey. All of the provisions will be provided by me and the airship's crew. It's not going to be amazing quality, but it'll pass. You'll be fed. Once we land, we're going to be living off whatever food we have and off the land. We're going to be in wilderness. So the things that I would recommend are things that you would go on any expedition with: ropes and weapons to cut down branches that might be in the way. A walking stick if you are so inclined. And once we get there, we're going to be in a giant ritual site. So we may need some digging tools. Obviously, I have a full archaeological thing here with brushes and what's not. I can bring those. You don't need to worry about that side of things. We might want to take something to trade. If you think that the giants may not be as friendly as my research says, if we bring something to trade, they're probably more inclined to listen to us.
Do they like honey?
I don't know. Possibly. You'd have to really... I have never asked one. She says.
Maybe more to the point, do you know of things that they prefer in trades?
Well, they live off the land, so anything that doesn't come directly from the land,
What about sheep or some other form of food? livestock?
She says, I don't
Livestock
think
comes from the land.
I don't think that they would have livestock, she says. I think that they're more hunters and gatherers than people that would keep sheep. But I, as far as I've seen, wherever they've lived a fairly simple existence. Wherever I've been. So anything that's from the sea or a bit of a luxury. I know that previously they've accepted things like chocolate and coffee. Sometimes ale. Sometimes they brew their own. But yeah, I don't. Beyond that, I'm not entirely sure. She says each place it's been sort of different. But yeah, maybe ask around town. You think, just from hearing her experiences actually meeting the inhabitants of Zendrick are fairly limited. You think that maybe most of her expeditions might have been where people are no longer there. At least that's what it sounds to be. She doesn't really have a very solid idea of exactly what, she might have come across them a couple of times, but it's not really anything to write home about as far as what her knowledge level goes. On the likes and dislikes of giants, anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, the things that she suggests are survival things, and something to trade. She says, coffee, chocolate, maybe something that's like precious metals. I don't know what use that they would have for it. Maybe something that they can use. If they're forgers, and we bring them rare materials like metals, that's probably something that they could use. I don't know what you have though, and I don't know what. So, I don't want to suggest something that you just simply can't afford. Not knowing you. I mean, it's just as much of a risk to me as it is to you. I don't know if you're going to double cross me once we start. I mean, I'm hoping not. You seem like nice enough people, and you seem like you have some very real concerns, and I want to help the best I can, but I mean,
Don't I have a letter, don't I, from the...
I think so.
I believe that, yeah, I think I got something from the university, which I realized I never gave to her.
Maybe the curator would have some people that have done prior expeditions we could talk about for some advice.
Yeah. Yeah, the McDonald's would fairly freely tell you who's around town to potentially talk to.
Is there a reason we can't take horses?
Well, you're going through wilderness. And you're going on an airship to get there.
So we blindfold the horses and tie them up. Maybe not.
She says that you're basically going to be going through a jungle area. So horses, while they can carry things, might struggle.
Yeah, horses and jungle, not a great mix.
What I'll quickly do is just for a second, I'll take us over to the Zendrick map. If you zoom all the way out, Stormreach, you should be able to see, let me just change my color here. Stormreach is way up here. That's where we are. And where we're going is about here.
Oh wow.
It's still a long way from the Ring of Storms, and the airships won't fly nearby to the ring. The airship pretty much is going to drop us at the shore, and we're going to have to... That's the 5 to 7 days of travel.
Wow.
Through there. And, you know, I've drawn a little bit out of scale, but that we're talking approximates, yeah? So, basically, we'll be dropped by the river, we'll walk inland through the jungle, and, yeah. So, yeah. It's not the easiest on horses. But if you want to bring one, I'm not opposed, she says.
She says we're giving him an odd luck.
Yeah.
Maybe a goat.
Opposed.
Yeah. She says, most of the time I just, you know, take a folding hole with me to carry all my stuff.
Lana smirks. Huh. I think of you.
Yeah, that seems like a good idea.
All right. Do we have any other like questions to her or concerns about her motivations or anything like that that we want to like make insight rolls for or anything like that? I know that you've said that we want to get some names about who else we might talk to as far as who might have a better idea of equipment that we might need to take on this journey. That's fine. I'll get you those. But is there anything else that I can help with, or?
Yeah, Bastion will go ahead and peruse the museum. Are there any artifacts or machines, especially that predate Warforged?
That predate the Warforged?
Yes.
So that's an interesting question. I don't want to get too deep on that, but there are many different types of Warforged. Zendrick is one of the places in Eberron that has machines that are not Warforged but still have souls. So the Eldritch machine that created the Warforged was really just a glorified machine, right? And albeit very, very powerful. Other machines have been created that are similar but different, and many of those predate Warforged by millennia. by a very long time. So, you asking, do things predate Warforged? Absolutely. And on the level of, but if they predate the other constructs like the Warforged, I would say probably not.
This would be for the Warforged only, predating the Warforged.
Then yes, there is, yeah.
All right.
So Giant's
Bastion
history
will
goes
look
back
like-
before our recorded history, basically. So, yeah. It's
All right.
old.
Bastion will familiarize himself with them.
Cool. So a couple of people that we can go and talk to. So there is Ereg, a expert ranger that might have some ideas surrounding what we might need. There's various scholars, but they're gonna be the scholarly sort. So she would say that Ereg would be the person to talk to. She says, be careful talking to him. You, I don't know all of his motivations, but I know that he's tracked many creatures around Zendrick, and he's undertaken many forays into the jungles of Zendrick. So as far as experts go, he's the best, but I wouldn't go trusting him with your lives. I would talk to him for advice, but I wouldn't ever include him in a expedition, she says.
In other words, don't drop that we're about to go on an expedition. Alright.
Cool. Anything else while we're here, or do we just want to cut to talking to Ereg and... Like, have we decided that we're definitely going to help her yet?
I just lost.
We decided what?
If we're going to definitely help her yet?
Don's suspicions have been satisfied, but he still thinks that we should do some talking around the city first.
Okay.
It's still kind of just a blind stab into the wilderness, so we really need to learn more.
Okay. Also, I want to be sensitive as far as time frames tonight, knowing that we started a bit later. I don't know if you guys need to go to bed or whatever. So if we come to like a point and you sort of want to like head off, then you just let me know. Yeah, like, because we're coming to three hours. So if we just want to get maybe the rest of this information, then call it a session, we can do that. I just know that it's a little bit later for you guys than usual. So
I'm down for trying to finish getting information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me
too.
Okay. So Ereg is a retired hunter.
No more than.
Sorry?
I'm good, but I want to keep it under a half hour-ish.
Yeah. Sounds good. Yep, we can cut to that. So Ereg has a little it's like what's the word? He stuffs his animals and sells them.
Taxidermist.
Yeah.
Darn.
Yeah. So he runs this taxidermist that has all of his many years of hunting stuff in here, and that's how he sort of lives now. He's given up his days of adventuring. When you see him, or when you go into his shop, the shop is very quiet. There's no one else here. And there's a strange scent, like maybe like incense in the shop. And it's kind of just, I don't know, slightly disturbing, the scent. It's just not what you would... It's just not quite right. There's something not quite right about the incense. And he looks up from a book that he is clearly invested in as you walk in, and he says, "Oh, customers, welcome. Please have a look around." And then he goes back to his book.
We were actually hoping to purchase some advice that we might have from your expertise.
Purchase some advice. Excellent. I can give advice. What is it that you need advice on?
We were thinking about doing some traveling out into some of the Giants' lands, and we've heard that it's a good idea to have things on hand for ready barter, but we're not exactly sure what would be good choices for that. And we heard that you might have had some prior experience in that area.
Indeed. The things that I would recommend... And he looks and he says, "I'm assuming your coin is good?"
Donald spread a 25 gold on the counter.
Excellent. Yes, the things that I would recommend. Cheese. Giants love cheese, and it's not something that they've got easy access to. In fact, anything involving milk, milk products, cream, cheese, mead, anything like that would be definitely something that is going to pass over very well. They eat lots of game, and they live off the land, so cheese is kind of their thing.
Little plants, so are they nomadic? Is that the word?
No. Look, some giants do wander around. But generally they have a home that they go back to. It just depends on what type of giant and upon that giant's motivations. But generally they have homes. Sometimes multiple homes, and then they'll do the rounds. But that's getting rarer and rarer as far as I've been able to tell.
Oh, well, what about do they have any animals? Like, do they do that livestock kind of thing? 'Cause if cheese is a thing, like, can't they learn? Can someone? Maybe we can teach. I don't know. It just sounds like a lot of food to bring along, and I don't think it's going to preserve very well on the trip.
Are you kidding me? Cheese preserves really well. Oh, I mean...
Well, yes, no, I mean, thinking of never mind. But yeah, because her head was thinking cream.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, that's head went.
Yeah.
And so she's just like going on that, where it's like, I don't think that's gonna. Oh yeah, duh, cheese. Focus on the cheese, Lana. Come on. And so
He says, look, if you were going to take cream, there'd be only really one way to do it.
yeah, no, I see the flaw in my thinking, but
He says,
that's still a lot of food to carry, even with our means of carrying it.
I mean, sure, but I mean, there's, depending on your, your situation, the prepared adventurer isn't afraid to spend a little money to ensure that, he's well stocked. In my time, I would just take bags of holding out, because then things don't weigh anything and you can just put in whatever
Again,
fits into a bag and you're all good.
Lana's nodding along and just patting the roll of fabric tucked in her bag and just like, yep, yes, thank you.
And as far as cream goes, just
I know.
Just grab a canteen and take it to to a local magist, and they'll make it cold for like, I don't know, a fortnight generally, I think.
Cool.
Quality loincloths. Yeah. He says, look, yeah, so look, definitely milk products is your way to go. Sometimes they like things like chocolate, he says, but I mean, they like the earthy taste, but it's not something that they have with every meal, whereas like they're really keen on cheese. Like, they would have it in every meal if they could. And generally they can't because, like you say, they're not really the type to domesticate animals. I mean, if you're so inclined as to spend many months teaching them how to...
Lana's just like, again, just trying to iterate. I get it, thank you.
I mean, you would need a giant cow for one.
Right. I see the flaw in my plan. Stop talking. Someone else take over. She's having a panic attack because she's reminded again that they are going away from home even further. So, yep, she is just, yep, backing in. Like, just shut him up.
Well, thank you kindly for your advice. I believe that'll do us good for now.
Well, thank you for your patronage.
And exit stage.
Exit
Well,
stage.
as long as we're here, would you mind pointing us in the direction of the nearest creamer?
I'm sure we can figure that out.
Oh, with his face plant, like, no!
He says the marketplace is probably your best bet.
Great, thanks. I've been wanting to go there anyway.
Right, as would anyone.
Yeah.
He looks back down at his book and you can see he's shaking his head going, what the
Later
fuck?
that evening, this Ranger's journal. Today I just met 4 yokels that are gonna die in the woods.
Yes, pretty much. Oh, man. You got it. Anyway, so, what are we doing?
Yeah, I'm going. I did not anticipate this.
There's many things that a GM does not anticipate, and it's always hilarious. Yes, we can find cheese and so forth. And yeah, there's many different bags that you can use to store it. So like each of them has like different pros and cons. So it's sort of just, you can sort of get something like we've got thousands upon thousands of gold, so it's not like we can't afford to
Right.
purchase something to
Well, we
what we
can get
need.
cheese sealed in wax for
Yeah, absolutely.
plenty of options. But we can get some curds to eat in the airship on the way.
I mean, I think this is the first ever D&D game I've ever played where someone's like, "Where's the creamer?" I mean, that's just like, wow. That's
Well, we're in a strange town. It makes
yeah.
sense.
Sure. I mean, where else would you want to go? Yeah. Anyway, yeah, you can find what you need. DM madly looks around Stormreach trying to find somewhere suitable to be a creamer.
And I think that, so one of the things that Felice is, was more interested. I mean, obviously she knows what to take on a dig or whatever, but she's more interested in, like, what kind of clothing do we need for the climate? Because it's we're in a strange.
Right, so
You just missed that conversation.
yeah, so he would have sort of said, take clothes that are fairly light and breathe well. What you don't want when you're in a jungle is to have heavy clothes that don't breathe. That's the last thing that you want. You're gonna freaking suffocate.
Lana has all the right outfits for this now.
And here's Felice in her leather, so that's not.
She's wearing hide, but she could wear one of those dark leaf breastplates, I think.
Oh yeah.
Because of that, actually, I think breastplate's medium, but because it's dark leaf, it's considered light, I believe, if I read that correctly.
I think I read that too. Yeah. And heavy was considered medium.
Correct, yeah. So you could go that way, which would increase your armor a fair bit too.
Great.
Are you ready to hug some trees, you hippie you?
Yeah, so the maximum dexterity is increased by 1. So it's basically breastplate, but with one extra maximum dex. And obviously not so heavy. Yeah, it's treated as light, yeah. And it's obviously made from the darkwood tree, so it's not metal.
Perfect. Yeah, so there we go. If the rest of the party doesn't object.
Well, there's like 5 of them or something, or however many there were.
Was there that many? Okay.
There are a few.
Oh, here we go. 12.
12. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And it should say there. No, it doesn't. Okay. It would be about the same price modifier as the Bieshk one, so it'd be an extra 1,500 gold you would get, although you're not going to get full price for them, but if you were to buy a Darkleaf breastplate, it would be whatever the breastplate is worth, plus another 1,500 gold on top, so you can sell them for a decent margin too, if you want it.
Cool.
Yeah. Why are we drawing circles?
Circles?
Not circles, squares.
Because I'm confused by why there's so many Lana heads. It's like a Find Waldo, but it's Lana. On the map, I found at least 3 Lana heads.
I don't know.
Anyways.
Lana head?
if you can see the squares, there's supposed to be Lana heads near them.
Okay. I think.
I'm just answering why there's squares.
Okay. Thanks. I'm not sure why it's showing that up. So we've gotten the information about what to wear. You know, obviously take sharp, like scimitar-like chopping weapons, like machetes to chop down anything that we need to. Obviously.
I believe we got a bunch of scimitars in that last dungeon.
Yeah, but they were very specific. I think they were double scimitars.
Yeah.
Valinar double scimitars, I think.
Twice as quick.
Wait, how did you do that? What?
Yeah, so we probably just want. I mean, we can trade in whatever for a machete or two, and you know, be that. I don't think that there's anything else that I as DM can really think of that's going to be more helpful in the situation. Yeah, I don't know why there's so many tokens. Sorry, I'm not seeing it, and I don't have anything on any of my layers.
Yep, don't worry about it.
Yeah. So. Do we then head back to Alina and say we've got everything and like?
I think it'd be a good idea to give her heads up so that way if there's anything that she throws at us, like, oh yeah, we also need this, or maybe we can get going on it sooner in the sense of she's not assuming that we're still trying to gather everything up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if we've decided we're going, then yeah, we should.
Well, she's ready to leave. So if there's nothing else we want to do in the town, we'll call the session here then. And then next time.
One other thing,
Yep, go ahead.
All right.
Huh?
And this can be discussed later. It doesn't have to be discussed right this second.
Yeah.
But I think that Felice would suggest that we consider getting rid of some of this like clothing and cloth and stuff, maybe at the market, or at least look into it, see if we can get a fair price, kind of thing.
Lana just goes, except when we come back and we have to travel all the way back to Sharn, we're gonna need this again.
Yeah. Well,
that's why I came prepared. It's like, yeah.
I'm talking about the Lana. No, I mean the clothing that we picked up on Treasure Island.
Right out.
I'm pretty sure we're not going to need a fox fur belt for anything we're going to
do. Yeah, I'm specifically referring to all that stuff.
Right. So, on average, you're not known at all in Zendrick.
Right.
Or in Stormreach. No one knows you. So it's standard fare as far as pricing goes. If this was 3.5, it would be 10%. In 5th edition, it's a little bit more generous than that. You'll get between 25 and 50% depending on what it is you're selling and how in demand it is. You will not get more than 50% unless you start rolling checks, at which point you'll probably end up having like encounters with, not as far as fighting encounters, but encounters with people as they try and barter around you. But you're looking between 25 and 50%. If they're trades goods, like just, I don't know, all of these things that can just be resold, you'll probably get half of what they're worth.
I don't know that Felice would want to push that, then.
But
maybe
they're gonna they have
already-
to make a margin. So this is how commerce works in D&D. You don't ever, unless you start making checks. You don't ever get full value for things unless they're proper trades goods. In which case, you can take a large amount from one location to another and get full price for them. If you have the player's handbook. You can find that information in I think is it the equipment area, and then trade goods. Yeah. So all trade goods, and it's not just what's listed there, but you will always get very very close to full value for anything that's not a trades good. You don't, but then you could narrate setting up a stall and selling things for yourself to a specific type of customer, and then make skill checks and then potentially make more money. But that's then we're role playing stuff, and who knows what might happen through that. I while I would be open to doing that at some point, that's not really the focus of the campaign.
No. No. I don't want to get that complicated. It was a thought.
What are the half fine
to barter,
adventurers dumping things in the market?
What's that?
A quarter to half price is fine. We're just adventurers dumping things on the market and moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless we think whatever everybody else wants to do, it's just a thought.
Yeah, and pretty much I would just get whoever's doing the selling to roll me a check, and then however they do as far as their roll goes is how much better the prices are from 25 to 50, depending on, if you sell them to someone who knows you, you're much more likely going to get a good price, but you don't know any traders yet. You haven't, apart from that guy, Eric, who was almost rude, but just matter of fact.
What a charming person.
But yeah, certainly not knowing anyone, you would start off at 25, make your check, and go up from there. And then as you get to know people and do more things, then your price starts higher. Yeah, that's just how I would roll.
How busy is this marketplace?
Very.
Excellent. Performance check. 20. Yes. She's dancing. She's kind of doing.
Some in the marketplace, people largely ignore it. A couple of people might toss a copy your way, but more often than not, people are gonna be like, "Go to the theater, just leave us to trade in peace."
It's just after a while, after a few of those, she's just like, takes her hoop and snuffs out the fire and storms off.
Yeah, I mean, and you can see that there's not really performance art here in the marketplace district to speak of. At least I don't think there is. I'm pretty sure I remember not seeing it.
Oh, it's all good.
But yeah. So yeah, I'll just go. As we're spitballing, I will reveal a few more locations in the marketplace, since we're probably going to be looking around there. So, antiquities dealer. Yeah, I'll show you that. Why not? Yeah, so are there any other questions that sort of are enough that the group might be interested in them? Or, I can finish recording now and we can just figure that out. Let's do that. I'm going to stop recording, and we'll say
Okay.
we'll be back in a couple of weeks. Hope you've enjoyed the session. You will have all of this stuff sorted, and we will be embarking on this this trek to find this giant pillar / ritual location in the deep forests of Zendrick. So my name's been Matt in a Hat. This has been Return to Eberron, Cult of the Godseed. These have been my wonderful players, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks. Bye, guys.